Woo! Oh yeah, baby. Happy Sunday. Boom! Sunday night. Hey. Sunday night. Boo! Boo! Hello, mateys. This is Scary Scouts of Pirates of the Caribbean film series here. Welcome back to the Q&A answer series. Yahoo! Welcome back. Welcome back. So, today is Sunday, September 17, 2017 today. So, from yesterday, I saw the 2-second black-tailed deer. It was on the 2 dose. I saw them to the Wobble Park about for the last 3 days. It's kind of about I surely about the talked about in the first things. I didn't scare the deer, so I just standing. I'm not moving. So the people looked at the scene like the deer, and while they're walking with the does, that's a code does to becoming for closer than me, to like it be to befriend. So it can't be my new pet anymore. So the Royal Justice Game Warden just told me told a lot of the people says, so we can't bring the deer in the house. So otherwise Pacific Northwest law. So the Royal Justice Game Wardens. So we have Washington State Game Law today. So I've heard about the question a few moments about the Royal Justice driving around to the Washington State is on the creator chorus such as about really palatable about the bears, elks, wolves, fox, rabbits, squirrels, moose, elks, and caribou, and muscots and bisons, and cougar and lynx and bobcats, and look, sounds, intensity, and habitats that are found about the predators exhibitions. Well, exhibitions is reasoning about to going to the zoo Defiance on the common to see animals there. They still have the polar bears. Mostly have the grew interesting from Alaska, Antarctica, and Russia. And sometimes with things about sometimes it has USA do, but maybe grizzly brown bears, black bears, and Kodiak bears also have a species problems there. They others like about the nature bears in there, like hunting, eating animals like fish, salmon, and attacking people and hunters, and kind of like the bee mess, kind of about very most nature, all of those on the planet. All of those bears on the earth, if every reactions in these ones about creations. Those are the creations, and those would be messed up. Would be really most of the interesting. How did it feel like about the most cold in the looking for the sky was sun was dawn. It looks red. It looks orange. It looks a little bit about the reddish blood on the sun, the skies, on the horizon. So, if it could reasons, also we do have I was watching them when I sat on the flight for the last 4 years. I seen it dawn for Alaska when I took the flight there to Canada for interesting for the plans for Washington State. I seen that the solar eclipse turns into dark night, also have the night. So I would just say a little guy could go to sleep. So I've been woke up in about the morning. So for the last 4 weeks I was look up for the sunrise, and it turns into the eclipse is look like about the third film was Twilight Saga Eclipse was for the last 7 years, maximum and minimum. they had understood the saying, I would could specializations if they have interesting for the set out of the imaginations to make up working with the Pirate 6 movie to rather see most of the priority that says leak and peek and sneak peek and Jerry Bruckheimer films and Gore Verbinski and Hans Zimmer's reaction to the fifth film was on the Gio Sinelli, composed by extended scores and complete scores and film versions. My interesting slice about a new pirate ship. Mostly we did a portrait of the Ruddy Rose, Red Dragon, Wicked Wench, the Black Pearl, and Queen Anne's Revenge. In seemingly for the Captain Bonnet, Morgan and Jack Sparrow, Barbossa, and Bowen. Bowen's unknown captain. Bowen's captain was charged as an unknown. And we have Spanish Royal Navy turns into the Ghost of Devil's Triangle. After that, about 1700 on 18th centuries, after the 9 pirate ships was sunk, and Wicked Wench becomes the Black Pearl, was turned around over about the cliff into the dark cave, and when the Spanish ship of the line explodes, strikes the reef into the darkness, it transformed into ghost ships, and this crew, and including Salazar, bumped it over to his back, was escaped to the abandoned ship. Then the abandoned is the transformation like red flower and meteor under the water as supernatural powers, and it takes about 51 years later after the Blackbeard attack and the Fountain of Youth was the battle in the Spanish Empire. And Barbossa commanded a flagship, was on a new ship, a new cabin. Mullen the Mootag, later from the Black Pearl, two here to St. Martin from Tortuga, was building up on the new ships and woods and the new red sails like Imperial Rome cloth. Except it might be the session about Mullen the Mootag was talking about the Jack Sparrow seemingly. His compass was moving like an earthquake when the Devil's Triangle was shocking. Turns into the sunrise was explosion. It killing the dark. It was free, and they're going to the Hunter Pirate. They're raging over to open the hole like a Charybdis and the Kraken's mouth, and like monsters. It seems like about the breaking and crushing over to the Red Dragon was sunk down in the middle of the high seas, and tonight once the 8 ships was left in there about Johnny Lurk, Golden Vessels, and Rising Phoenix. Think about 5 pirate ships left, but explosion, cannon fire, killing every pirate at sea was explosionable and fire and flames beside under the water. That ship was victorious. Here was a deal with by Barbossa did when the Queen Anne's Revenge was encountered by Silent Mary was opened up. He stopped to attack his ships. When Blackbeard's former ship was also to command the nations, and they're hearing like a pirate crew was screaming, was killing by the ghost Spanish, and they're living come aboard to for his unwelcome there, so he can work on the Silent Mary's mutiny. When the Blackbeard ships was abandoned in the middle of the high seas, at the will of the winter tide, was also to have fate. Barbossa leaves his ships in the middle of the sea, and he didn't Silent Mary didn't crush down to the Queen Anne's Revenge, and then pirates did. So the pirates' reaction, so the Sour Sauce stories at El Matador del Mar. It seems like a Finding Sparrow for the quest for the Trident Poseidon was the transformation Henry Turner for his fathers, and as his curse was under the water, and beside the Flying Dutchman. He lives in the bottom in the land of the dead, and there were seems like about the Dutchman pirates, and they still have formerly of Spanish Navy on Jamaica. When Elizabeth I was left with her son was over about joining in for former of British Royal Navy. Besides it becomes to temporarily welcome to join the pirate, and Queen Elizabeth was the astronomer, formerly of which, and she is a beautiful woman I ever noticed about her father was ever likely about Barbossa's. It was looking the same thing about became a thing about the command of the sea. When Gibbs looked behind the dead ships, it was on the looking to the straight behind was every crew of Dying Girl was also have former betrayal. It will never give up, and they're rowing the boat on the Hangman's Bay on the island. So if a stranger pirates not welcome there was eliminated. But also access looks like about Monarch was after attack on the Devil's Triangle. It was a burn that sank. John Scarfield's on the board of the XX. We have 86 carrying the 88 guns, and besides on the lieutenant officers, redcoats, and the crewmen was capturing in the Gibbs, Marty, Scrum, Crumble, Jib, and Ballard, and the Dying Girl was abandoned. It was fate. It was access of prisoners anytime, but Jack and Henry was attacked by the ghost sharks, and they turned into death once into the Silent Mary. One of the Spanish crew was throw the 3 sharks under the water, and transformed to resurrected under the ocean. It seems Shark was almost eaten on the boat. It looks like a Shark's riding moving forward, but rescue for Henry. They was magical like modern sharks. Maybe 65 million years ago, like Megalodon, and they could be here on Earth here to mid 2000, many 20th century, but Jack and looks for meeting for former of Salazar, turns it into the pave what it did to him, but he could run away through the jungles, and it was trapped net, and it bumped Jack's head by somebody. It opens his eye was rising, hanging over in the whale bone, and the priest and Pig and her sister and his sister Beatrice was also because Jack was hearing the gunshot by Barbossa. The way they did was Barbossa was every 15 minutes when he was undercover with the Jack's coat, was on the bottle of the Black Pearl, was on the from Queen Anne's Revenge, was abandoned in the middle of the high seas. Looks like about the Pearl meets the Revenge, and 1746 after the Blackbeard attack. And Barbossa, his sword, the trident, was from the Blackbeard. He stabbed the brakes the bottle. He runs in the beach, and almost drop a break. A Kraken Grow was also shrunken, and the pearl needs to see. When Barbossa throws the pearl in the water, was over almost sank. It was a restoration original size. When Jack, Henry, and Turner was prisoners, former the Pearl, and Barbossa, new former captain of the Pearl, was commander of the sea. Was every race of a Black Rock Island was falling by closer than of the excess of the British Royal Navy from St. Martin. And Karina met her father was her daughter. His daughter was communicating was the red crystals was the same thing to following the stars. Henry and Karina was free to look around there. And Jack met the Barbossa before with his monkey. He was eliminated betrayal. Could have a very special thing, So why is he do Jack's betrayal from Barbossa thing for Jack the monkey? He's trying to talk with them under the first sails. And Henry is alarming for the Axis was going to attack for the Pearl. When Garfield's intention to destroy the Pearl, and it was distracted by thunderstorms to roar, and Silent Mary opens the hole to destroy the Axis was extra access on explosion on the gunpowder, flammable over the firestorms up there in the skies. He was swaying down, break over the half of the ships. He follows the Pearl. He fights in the crew for the Queen Anne's Revenge and the Dying Gold. And after escape from the Axis was sank. And Squam, Marty, Gibbs, Ballard, Krembo, Jib was on the Pearl, was saving the Pearl, fighting to the Ghost Spanish. When Jack's chasing from Salazar was running over to the cannon edge to jump over to the ghost woman statue. He was destroyed by the cannon 32, the Pearl's gun, and he breaks inside, and the Fine Alpha found it to the Black Rock Island to open the sunrise. And the Silent Mary and the crew of the Silent Mary was retreated back to his ships, and he was able to kidnap Henry. Was one of the one guy. The two crewmen was turned to the dust was also means death. Karina follows from Jack and Barbossa, was finished off the last one for the crystals. It could be means to open up for the open waters like quicks, like a fault, like San Andres. And Jack and Karina was sacrificed from Barbossa, was sliding over to the black sand beach to turns into the almost a blue light. And Henry was blowing into his body like Salazar. He runs down under the water, or maybe could be jump down to the faults, and he could be fighting. He could be who killed Jack, to found the Poseidon's trident spears, but Poseidon's tomb. And Henry was passed out, and Amanda holds in the trident to kill Jack. When the same as like drowning to killing Jack. When Salazar almost died after the almost killed Jack after he almost died, and he breaks the curse. Was every still quiet was on the turns into human. all the crew to Spanish turns into human form, and Silent Mary was sunk after the break the curse by Henry Turner, and his father and the crew of the Flying Dutchman was free, goes back to the world of the sea, was rising up. When the Pearl was sailing to the open water faults, and Barbosa rescues Jack, Henry, and Karina while he's chasing from Salazar and his crew, Lazaro, Santos, Moss, and also they have a reaction. Magda was almost died over the last time for the fourth and last time for the lieutenant officers. And Barbosa sacrificed to kill Salazar, and it's a sacrifice to his crewmen. And he falls under the water, was under destruction on a same really most rationals to close the waters. He had an idea of splashing over when the Pearl was free. And the crew of the Black Pearl was from a dying goal, was departure taking Henry and Karina back to the Jamaica, where seeming was closer than the Port Royal. Henry and Karina was romantic kiss. His father looking for by Henry on the Flying Dutchman. Seems reunited with Elizabeth Swan, where she is 50 years old, and she was kind of about 51, all the 51s. She was the same, could be with higher nature of storage. And Elizabeth Will was misses him for much about for the last 10 years. And Karina meets Will and Elizabeth from after her father's death, and Jack Sparrow became captain of the Black Pearl, and the monkey gave it his compass to sail the horizon to beyond the stars, and the Pearl was sailing, goes back to the Tortuga to the welcoming to the crew. His uncle, his father, was very proud of him after the quest to the Trident Poseidon after Salazar's death, and the Silent Mary was sank, and his crew, and the British and Spanish was on the villain's death. Pirates has heroes. It could be romantic ended it. Thank you for stories, for the Dem and Tell Tales long stories. They were like communications. And by the way, thank you so much for coming in, guys. Glad to see you at the same thing, but same time, alright? Woo! Woo! Alright, guys, don't forget to subscribe to my contents. You can follow on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or Find Cameras, Trace, Patreon, Livestream, Streaming, Gaming Challenge, Jerky Stores, Cocker Story Talk, Timeline Hangouts, and the links in the description. Like the comments to the day, and follow on YouTube's actor, actress, and friends here on Interesting. And according to the guys and girls, men's and women's and kids and children's and seniors, old peoples, and they will incitements to see and according to WWE Championship. Don't forget to WWE Network subscribed on Contest of the Day. So tomorrow's tomorrow's night to the 8 p.m. So I love you guys. So feel free to death. Don't forget to you can follow very interesting things like John Cena. John Cena challenged to Braun Strowman or Roman Reigns. Thanks about a great move. Love you guys. Feel free to death. Don't forget. So keep it rich, mateys. See ya. Glad to see you. By the way, keep it rich, mateys. So my juggernaut is Jesse. So I'm glad you came here, the newbie. I love all of your videos. With your brother Jeffrey, big brother, and your dad, big psycho dad, your mother, no, your mom, big psycho mom, your best friend, Corn, Manicorn. Let me think. I love you guys, all of you. Thank you. Feel free to death. Don't forget to keep it rich and middies. Have a great night. Have a great evening.